Did I like it? No. Is it as bad?
Pizza time. Pizza time. Pizza time.
Let's move on to the review part of today's episode, where we are going to cover She-Hulk and the Better Call Saul finale. And so let's go and just start off with the She-Hulk episode 1 premiere and give our thoughts.
You go first.
So you want to go first?
You go first, sir.
Okay.
I'm not going to
I'll
agree with you, but I know
maybe not.
Go first.
But I'll take it. All right. So She-Hulk episode 1 arrived on Thursday earlier this week, and I'm wondering if I should just say my thoughts now or give a little recap. Okay, I'll give a quick recap. So the episode basically introduces us to Jessica Walters. Is that right? Is that Tatiana Mansell? Is that the character? Jennifer Walters.
Yes.
Sorry. Right. There's already Jessica Jones. So we can't have two Jessicas. Jennifer Walters, played by Tatiana Maslany. And she plays, obviously, she transforms into She-Hulk. And basically what the first episode is us witnessing her
origin,
transforming for the first time and having to get used to coming to terms with that while she's on Bruce's private island, who's her cousin. And I'm glad to have, and a lot of the episode was basically with Bruce Banner and Mr. Ruffalo, so that was really nice. But that's basically essentially the episode was that on their island, and then figuring out if what her powers are and if she can do this. And I will say, did I like it? No. Is it as bad? I didn't like it. Ultimately, I did not like it. It didn't really sell me on the show yet. However, it's definitely not as bad as I thought it was going to be. But it's definitely nowhere near as good as what I wanted it to be.
Right.
I think it definitely has. I definitely think there's a feminist agenda that is, still at the forefront of anything. That being said, the CGI was actually good. I didn't mind the CGI. I thought it looked awesome. I thought it was good. I had no complaints about the CGI. I thought it looked great. Again, Mark Ruffalo was awesome. I still really love Tatiana Maslany. I think she's a great actress. I love her. I just thought that, again, the feminist stuff is clearly there, and that's probably going to persist throughout the rest of the show, and I'll just have to deal with that. That's fine. I can get over it. But what I really loved, the stuff I actually mostly loved was the fourth wall breaking was cool. That I thought that was all fun. I liked that. I thought that was fun. I liked it. So if they keep doing that, that's cool. But the scene that really gave me something to chew on has technically nothing to do with She-Hulk, and I'm sorry.
What you're talking about.
You do. I know you do, because I'm sure you loved it too. But it was when they were at there's a scene where they're at Bruce's personal bar, which is hilarious. Yep. And we find out on this island, I forget where it is, but it's in a secluded island. Oh, Mexico? Okay.
Mexico.
And we find out that this bar was, the bar, and the entire facility. There's a high-tech facility in this oasis, basically, island, was helped built by Tony Stark before he passed away in Endgame. And I love that. And that in and of itself was enough. But then they showed the shot of on the bar that Bruce and Tony had etched their their initials into the bar, like best friends or lovers would do. I thought that was so funny. And that was nice. And what Bruce said was that Tony would come to the island to talk about what happened after Civil War, and talk about God, these names, Steve. And I love that. I just thought that was so nice to hear again from a part of with something that we never thought was even there. It happened in between movies, and it's just this really poignant moment that Bruce and Tony really had. Clearly a great friendship that I think that it made me realize, man, they really didn't play on that in the last Avengers movies, and I wish they did, because the last time I think about it now, the last moment they really shared was at the end of Iron Man 3, when that post-credit scene was them when Bruce was acting as a psychiatrist. And I love that, and they never really built upon that, and this at least brought us back to that, and I love that. And so it wasn't She-Hulk related ish, and because that freaking bitch fucking etches her goddamn name next to that unearned at the later of the episode, and I hated that, but that movement in itself was fine. Anyways, that's my spiel. I want you to go ahead.
I think that
what do you have to say?
First of all, I think that line that I think Bruce says, it was a bright moment in an otherwise terrible time. The blip.
Oh yeah,
that was like, and it really does. It's very, very, very apparent to me that Marvel is setting something up with Hulk. That there was that leak from D23 that there would be that in D23 we'll get a World War Hulk announcement. There is now rumors that the Hulk rights from Universal partially owns will revert back fully to Marvel in 2023.
Nice.
Which gives them plenty of time to make that movie or TV show, whatever they're going to do. And that the World War Hulk will be a big springboard for events in Secret Wars. So I think it's incredibly clear to me from the Sakaar ship, the Sakaarian ship trying to send a message at the beginning of the episode, are they trying to like say, hey, Hulk, you need to come back to Sakaar because we got something for you, aka your son's on the planet wrecking shit, which is a World War Hulk storyline, which would be amazing. And it's clear now that the way he's able to fix his arm and get back to Smart Hulk, I think we'll start to see that, he can go to Big Hulk again and in between a little bit, which is all very, very cool. And it's very, very clear to me they're setting something up with Hulk, which is incredibly exciting. But again, I do agree with you. The best part of that episode was that whole like moment, because you realize, look how sad you get to see on his face how sad Bruce is. He is broken. He has lost everybody.
Absolutely.
Which is, hard, and he's still trying to do the right thing. He still wants to be a hero and help people. He's lost Natasha. He's lost Cap. He's lost Tony. He has nobody left. Of the original Avengers, who does he have left? Thor? He's
and
Thor.
He isn't really talking about
he's gone. And then Hawkeye's pretty much retired too. So that moment was messed up. It was sad. But it was the best part of the episode. Overall, the episode though, I was okay with it. I'm not gonna say it's the best premiere episode, but it wasn't the worst. That scene where she talks about why she can control her anger, because mansplain and stuff. Like, I have an interesting thought on that. I like to
hear that. Yeah, because you kind of partly know what I think about that scene.
Right. Would we care so much about that if society wasn't the way it was today? Like, would that scene bug us, even bug anyone at all? Because again, what she says is kind of true. Like, as men, we mansplain to women. As men, we do call women emotional more quickly than we should. Absolutely. It's a flaw.
I agree with that.
We have.
I agree with that.
All men do it. If you say you don't, fuck you.
Bullshit.
Yeah. So like that scene, I think actually works. And I think if it's like 3 years ago or something, we don't care about it. It doesn't matter to us. It's just it's a well-acted scene, because Maslany in that scene is very good in that scene.
She is good.
So I push back a little bit on it, like, it's got a feminist agenda. I'm sure it does, actually, because I'm sure I have read in episodes it gets a little heavy-handed and not well written into the episode. So we both know it's coming. But in this moment, I don't mind it, because, again, if I can just put my mindset into a place where it needs to be, where it's like, again, 2-3 years ago, I don't care about this. This doesn't matter. It's just a well-acted scene. Is it a well-written scene? No, but it's a well-acted scene. And that's all the difference. And, I think that scene right there is where people are trying to get upset about it, because of the society we live in. And if you're not angry about something, then what are you doing? Everyone's angry at right or left or whatever, right? So that's my take. That's my interesting thought, and I want to get your thought on that.
I absolutely love that take. No, and I don't disagree with you. In fact, I don't disagree with you. I love that scene. It wasn't the fact that she brought up those points, which I obviously I know are real. Like even as a man, it's not like why the fuck would I have why what would I have to say against that? Like that's an experience of women. And that makes sense.
I've had men mansplain to me, and I'm like, bro, slow your fucking roll, okay?
Yeah, no. I have no men have no business. I do believe that like men have no business telling women about like obviously personal experiences that they have on a day-to-day basis. That's
Right.
obviously not well, first of all, okay, I'll explain why I was the reason I was annoyed of that. It wasn't even that scene. It's what happens afterwards that I thought was just poorly written. And
Okay.
that's she explains, right, that women have had to control their anger for a long time, which is why she's really good at it. That in and of itself, I thought was brilliant. I like
Yeah.
that explanation. It's just that she then proceeds to lose her temper for the next couple of minutes, and like
Oh.
she doesn't turn. And I get it just I get it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh.
Like it's not it just I don't know, it felt empty to me because it's like, well, but you're getting because when you see Bruce, right? Like Bruce has had to deal with this for like a long time and it's
15
really
years.
difficult for him.
Yeah.
And that's part of why he's interesting, right? Is because he's doing his best, but at the same time, there are just moments where you just never know if he's gonna turn. And I just if the whole thing about Hulk was that when you're angry, that's when you become the Hulk, then if she's angry in that moment, I think she should turn into She-Hulk. It just doesn't. All of a sudden, it's like, well, so you're telling me that when she gets angry, she's doing it in such a way that she then can. It's not anger. See, that doesn't really make sense to me. That doesn't make sense to me because, like, anger's anger,
Right?
Whether or
Anger is
not
anger. Yeah.
anger's anger, and she's clearly angry in that moment, and so she can just control that. So it's that stuff that just doesn't. Again, it's that stuff that just doesn't really make sense to me, and I feel like they're writing over it. That being said, what I think could have fixed it for me, and I obviously in the way that they did this episode, I don't think they could have written it in. But again, just for me, had made it feel better just to make that statement, which I thought was great. Again, that the idea that women have had to hold in their anger for years, which is I think obviously very true,
Right.
is if they showed that, right? Like if there was a moment where I don't know. But I don't want to write it as if I fucking know that what the situation happens to women all the time. But there's a moment where like, yeah, she gets hit hard, not physically, but like life is really bogged down on her. And we see that like the bullshit that she has to put through, that she has to deal with, like in that moment where, and then like whoever it is, the antagonist in that scene, like walks away and she has to just sit there and deal with it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we really needed to see that scene versus her just saying it. And then because right after we're going to see the reasonings behind why she said that, it just felt a little hollow. Like I really wish I had a scene like that just so that we can, because it felt a little cheap and I wanted to really see it.
I can agree with that. It can
right?
feel a little. I can see how it feels a little cheapish.
Yeah, because I mean, again, character development, right? I just like
why Marvel cannot figure out, or actually modern Hollywood can't figure out that flawed characters are more fascinating than perfect ones.
Yeah, we've been doing it for multiple, like since forever, and all of a sudden we're turning our backs on that. Like,
yeah, look at
no.
And if you disagree with me, look at every female character that Marvel's put out in the last like 2 or 3 years.
Right.
You go Captain Marvel, she's pretty much perfect. She's super powerful, and then she learns to be more powerful. Cool. Yeah. Miss Marvel, she's pretty much perfect. She basically goes against her parents' wishes of being a superhero, and then her parents gave her permission to be a superhero. With not a lot of explanation.
Well, it's maybe it's not the idea of perfectionism, but it's like they just, it's somewhat handed. Like they don't have to work for it as much.
But she's not flawed.
But she's not flawed. But you're right. She's also not flawed. Right. So okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Jennifer Walters,
perfectionism,
she's had pretty much so far 3 days of being the Hulk, and she knows how to completely control it already. And
Right. She even says like the line. I hate this line. Like she's like, I pretty much have this down. You have literally never even been in a fight. Like, what are you?
Right.
What arrogance do you have to say
So
that? Like,
I'm very interested to see if going forward, if we're going to see her struggle at all.
right.
But I feel like it's just going to be like an internal struggle. I don't want to be the Hulk. Meh.
Yeah. I also want to point out that there's a scene that happens literally a few moments before that kind of really contradicts what she said. She after the bar, she walks out and the men catcall her, and she literally gets angry and turns into the Hulk. I mean, arguably, maybe it's because she chose to do so. I don't know,
Or
but
maybe it was like the first time she'd ever done it, so she just turned
maybe.
into a Hulk.
But again, she was angry, and that's why she turned into She-Hulk. It seemed like that's the 2 and 2 I'm putting together in that scene, and that doesn't really follow the following scenes. So it's stuff like that. Again, it's just a little like wonky writing. I wish they would like get that down, because like those things don't really make sense. And it makes me not really believe that character.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't seem
characters more.
Yeah, I need to buy into that character more. And if you're showing me scenes like that, it's not working. But I understand the sentiment and the motivation behind it, and that's fine. But there's stuff like that where it's like, just write it better. And I think I'll have less to sort of point out, because again, I do love that moment. I thought that was a really strong moment for her, and really eye-opening in the way that she put it. I love that. I think that makes absolute sense. But it needs to follow through again, right? I think it just needs to be it just needs to follow through a little bit better in the actions that occur. So anyways,
I think remember, this is 9 episodes, so this is going all the way till mid-October. Which is a lot.
They're shorter too. They're shorter too, right?
30 minutes. I mean, 20.
A little shorter. They're like a little shorter. It's like WandaVision. Those were that short.
WandaVision, but again, WandaVision was like 20 minutes, and there's 10 minutes of
right.
End credits.
Same thing here.
Yeah. So one thing I want to talk about before we just kind of, I mean, it was a fine premiere. It
didn't suck. I wouldn't say it sucked. But it wasn't good either. Right. Like we talked about this before. I thought some of the editing was not great. Okay. Go ahead. Good.
I was just about
set us up on that.
Your thoughts on that? Like we mentioned this after we like talked about it briefly after watching it. It doesn't feel like anything. It's just there.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's just, there's no grandiose moments. There's no anything. Like the cinematography on Moon Knight was great. It was fantastic. Even the art style in Miss Marvel, it still set a tone and everything. This just kind of feels there.
Yeah.
And like, the editing in the final sequence.
It's atrocious.
It is some of the worst editing I've seen in a Marvel film ever, or a Marvel product ever. That was, like we're breaking 180 rules. We don't know where the action is. Our eyes don't know where to look at. No. It had probably the worst crop shot I think I've ever seen in my life. With they're standing out. They're obviously her best friends. You got to turn into Hulk, and you just see whatever character that was, Jamil Hill's character. I don't know her name in real life. I'm so sorry I mispronounced your name. Just standing there. You just see her feet just standing there. Obviously, she's supposed to be standing. Like there's no movement. She's just standing there. Nothing is happening. And they didn't crop that out. They just left that in. And I was like, what? This is a fucking joke. This is terrible. Who approved it? But you can talk about it if you want.
You said it. I mean, like that's just a horrible scene. It sounds like they fucking shot that in like literally a day. Yeah, maybe less than a day. Like there was no coverage like with it at all. And plus that scene in general in the narrative is just fucking thrown in. I'm like, what's happening? Like we just went through this entire like 98% of the episodes, this one thing, and then all of a sudden this bitch just flings herself into the courtroom. She-Hulk's not even like, what the fuck? Like they're just like, okay, it's Hulk time. Like I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like I don't understand. And then she knows how to like defend herself already. It's just like a barf. It was just like a projectile vomit surprise. I just
like, look how good she is already. What?
Terrible end scene.
Yeah,
Just thrown out. They could have ended
awful.
it with her leaving the island.
Yeah.
Like that would have been fine.
Yeah.
Leave that goddamn scene for the next show. Good
Yeah.
Lord.
Start
What
the
the fuck
next
was
episode
that?
with that or something. It was like
Yeah.
not good. I don't know
Absolutely
why that was
unnecessary.
happening. Ugh,
Yeah, but that's one horrible example of the filmmaking. And what we're basically talking about now is the filmmaking of the episode.
Yeah.
And to talk more about that just a little bit, you were right. Like again, in general, the show just had no filmmaking character. It just felt it's like the script really just took forefront, and they were like, let's film some scenes that make sure we get all this said. And there was no fun sort of filmmaking. It's just like reverse shot. And they talk,
yeah,
and then that's it. There's no other things. It just felt like moments happening, and it's crazy that we both felt that way, right? I think so. I think that's actually pretty notable that we both felt that way without really having to say it to each other. So I was like, that's worrisome. So that's where I get part of this whole thing is just like, oh god, like. So is the rest of these episodes going to be the same where there's not a lot of filmmaking happening? Like,
well, I think it is because I think maybe that's supposed to be the theme of the show because they're saying it's just another lawyer show, right? Which is weird, but like it'll feel weird if you when you start to throw in Wong, when you start to throw in Abomination.
Yeah.
Again, Marvel, people are getting pretty upset at you at making every character a joke.
Yeah.
Looks like Emil Blonsky will be a joke. It looks like Wong is going to be a joke. You have said you're going to make a much, much more lighthearted Daredevil in this show. I don't think people are going to be too happy about a much, much lighthearted Daredevil.
Yeah, I kind of winced on that. I'm like, what do you mean by lighthearted? Like, what do you mean?
Like, jokes?
It doesn't have to necessarily be as dark as but like, are you saying like you're not going to take them seriously, right? That's what I hear. It's like you're not going to take it like the really interesting parts about Matt Murdock. Which are pretty, I mean, they're dark, you know, like, he lives in Hell's fucking Kitchen. Like it makes sense, but like, I can see toning that down, but how far? Please don't, I don't want to, the worst thing that can happen is that, he's cracking jokes or we have like a overly funny character in that, cracking unnecessary jokes. Like, I don't know.
The worst thing you can do is water down a character for comedic relief. Don't do
Right.
You get comedic relief somewhere else. Figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear that they're trying to make things funny.
Yeah,
and just please don't do that. Like, please, Marvel, just don't think you need that. You don't need that. You don't.
Just a lack of oomph from this so far.
Yeah,
but it's on episode. We're gonna watch the rest. So whoop-de-doo.
I'll say this: I'm more on board with this than Miss Marvel, just because, again, like I don't think that show was made for us.
Also,
at the end
this
of
show
it,
wasn't made for us either. By the way,
This is
a show clearly made for 30-something-year-old women.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a show where Marvel's trying to get a specific age group on board with their shows and movies and their universe.
Right.
That's all it is. So take that with what you will. I don't know.
Yeah, God,
I
don't know. No, but it's the truth. It's just the truth.
Miss Marvel was meant for teenage girls. They're trying to get teenage girls on board because they want teenage girls on board as well. They got the boys.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. It's there have been very, very successful women-centric shows across history. Sex and the City is one of them. That even men seem to love. Yeah, Alias. Yeah. But here's the thing. Here's the difference between those two, right? Is that Sex and the City was almost exclusively like really from the perspective of women, and it was about like Alias is like action and shit, like which is typically for men. But Sex and the City is like a prime example of a show that worked for women, and a lot of men watched that show too. Like just because it was like I think a really well done show. I actually haven't really watched it, but
never seen an episode.
I've heard that most like just generally speaking, it's just a really good show.
Yeah.
So I think that just goes to show, you can have a show about a woman's worlds and perspective, and it still be good and speak to people. So, it's rare, it seems, but why? It's not there. So hopefully this becomes that. But we'll see. Do I think it will be? No. But we'll see. I'm mostly just really excited now to see more for what happens to Bruce and that whole World War Hulk shit. But we'll see. That's
Well,
that.
he'll be back.
Oh, here's a question: Do you think that we'll see him as much as we did in this episode, or this is like it for a while?
He's in one more episode, the final episode.
Shit! Okay, all right. Well, I'm not
It's
surprised
already
by that.
been revealed. He's in the last episode of the season, which I'm assuming will be the episode that sets up what the hell is going on with him.
With Sakaar, and I would honestly, I would bet money for sure it's a World War whatever that whole thick comic line is. I bet. What else would it be? Like it's if you show a Sakaar ship, that whole story is literally anchored from his experiences with Sakaar and having his. So yeah, it should be that. The question is, will it be a show or is it a movie? I would bet money it's as much as I would hate for it to kind of be a show, because I really think Mark Ruffalo deserves his own movie.
So do I.
I think it might end up being a show, but we'll see.
I think it might be a show too.
I hope it's. I really want it to be a movie, but
look, we've gotten great Marvel shows so far. Loki, Moon Knight. I think we can get another one.
I'm not sour, but I just. I just want to see him on the screen. I just think he's such a beloved character. People loved Mark Ruffalo ever since, and I think that could be epic as shit. I want to see the big guy on the big screen, not the big guy on the small screen.
I want to see the big guy, not the
I want the big guy.
I do like how she calls him Smug Hulk, because
it's funny. No, that was good.
That part's funny. Yeah.
She called him out on that, which was great. That was really good.
Yeah.
I think there's a place for for Tatiana as a character.
She's fine. Just wish the writing was better. Again,
I just wish the writing was better. That's all.
Our gripe with these shows,
right? And I just want to mention again, in my opinion, the best woman superhero in the MCU, at least in Phase 4 for sure, is Yelena, because she's not written like any of these other main characters. Well, yeah, she's broken. One of the best parts, if not the best part, of Black Widow, which at this point, honestly, is probably the best women-centric thing that Disney has done far. And it's not even like that amazing, but it's like probably the best, because the best scenes were Yelena being the younger sister when she like broke on the table because like nobody was listening to her. That was great. Like that made you feel for that, right? Like you felt for her character.
Right.
It was a great moment.
She has a tragic backstory that you've worked out. You know she's hurting. And then even when you got to see her in Hawkeye, you were so excited.
Same thing.
And then when she has her little conversation with Clint about Natasha and how, still hurt and broken she is from losing her sister. That's how you build a character.
I agree.
Yeah,
like, she's the best.
Flawed characters are just more interesting than perfect characters.
They really are.
It's not rocket science.
No.
The audience. No, there is no such thing as a perfect human being. No such thing. And asking everyone to connect with more and more perfect, essentially women, because it's only women being written like this on screen. That's why audiences are having trouble falling in love with these movies.
Right.
Because you can't connect to a perfect woman or a perfect person for that matter. You just can't, because no one's perfect.
No.
That's why flawed characters matter.
Right. But a part of it though is that I know part of the agenda is to not, because they don't want to show women in those vulnerable states, right? Like, because they think that's detrimental to the message of like women needing to just, be stronger and to get ahead. But that's just not true. That's not true. It's never been true for men. It's never been true for women.
Right.
What the most compelling thing about, societally speaking, men should be the ones to suck it up, right? Like we shouldn't be showing weakness. But if you watch all these great movies about, even if it's men centric, what the most compelling part is when they are. And that's not a man thing. That's just a human thing. Right. Is when you're vulnerable. Right. That's more interesting.
Right. Now
it's that simple.
But
so women so this whole idea that we shouldn't be showing them as vulnerable is ridiculous to me.
Yeah. I agree.
And again, that was one of the only moments that we've seen in the MCU when a woman actually, like she left it, like she got super sad. She got vulnerable and she felt very vulnerable. She left the table. Yeah. And I guess a lot of people assume that like, oh, yeah, she's being a crybaby. She's a little brat. But no, you can be. It depends on the context. But in that moment, that made complete sense. This is what I'm saying. Like these moments they're all about context and about why they happen, not because they happen.
Exactly.
You know, yeah. Can women be crybabies on a normal basis? Yeah, sure, they can.
Of course.
And that is the annoying part, but that's not that moment right there. Has nothing to do with that, right?
Exactly.
That's just a human moment. Anyways, okay.
Gosh.
She-Hulk episode 1. Those were our thoughts. And but we'll watch it. Yeah, we're gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Unlike Miss Marvel, which we just took the Spark Notes version of. I think this one I will at least watch through, unless down the line there's some heinous occurrence that I'm just like.
Look,
anyways,
this show has me hooked until I see Matt Murdock, and then I'll make
That's true. I forgot about that.
And then let's be honest, you built so much on Hulk, and you've already said he's coming back for the 8th episode.
Right.
I'm gonna finish it.
Right.
So Marvel, good job, Marvel. You fucking caught me. What can I say? You did it. So, great.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. We got to see that moment.
Who are you kidding?
Yeah.
Who are you kidding?
Yeah,
we're fucking finishing it. So
yeah, and I am actually really intrigued as to what they'll do with Emil Blonsky. I really am. I love that character.
I think we'll see it next week, but
I think so. I'm curious to see what they do. I'm curious to see what they do with him.
It's gonna be a joke. I hope you're ready.
Yeah, that would be the worst. We'll see.
Money right now.
He might. Yeah. Shit. No, I don't want to even talk. I can't talk about it anymore. We'll just have to see.
Let's finish on a glorious high note.
Let's do so, my friend. I've been waiting to talk about this for I think for ever since it premiered. This is the Better Call Saul finale, which aired last Monday, and almost a week ago. And it's been such a painful week to have to not talk about. But at the same time, we're sorry if this does not appeal to you, because basically no one still has watched Better Call Saul. Right? I don't almost know anyone else who watches Better Call Saul.
Our peers, no, but I do think it's an insanely popular show. So,
oh yeah, I think obviously it is, but it's not. I mean, do you see? Here's what I'll say. Do you see it being nominated for Emmys like these other goddamn shows being nominated? No.
No.
Well, how many? Well, has it?
Yeah, of course.
How many Emmys? How many nominations I got? I haven't seen shit. I haven't seen a single goddamn billboard for your FYC campaigns on all over LA.
Emmy Awards, Outstanding Drama Series, Best Supporting Actress Drama Series, Lead Actor Drama Series, Supporting Drama Series, Lead Actor Drama Series.
5.
It's won and been nominated for many. It just doesn't brag about it.
I like to, but again, if you see these other shows like Succession, Severance, 28 nominations,
they brag.
14 nominations.
Yeah, because it's on a streaming service. This is just pure cable.
That's what I'm saying. So it's just painfully underrated. Anyways, sorry if you don't watch the show. Obviously, highly recommend it. Probably the best show, maybe of all time, easily in the top 3. I don't know. We'll see. In most places, but Better Call Saul. We're gonna talk about the finale. I went first on the last one, so I'm going to have you do your thoughts first, Alex. But before that, so if you don't know, it is the final episode of the 6-season run Better Call Saul, which was the spin-off of that was arguably one of the greatest shows ever, Breaking Bad, if not the best show ever made to some people, which follows the lawyer Saul Goodman and his life as a prequel. But we also actually got to see that this actually becomes a sequel to Breaking Bad in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
one of the many great filmmaking choices for the show, and so it follows him and his life as he gets to there, and then afterwards. And so the finale, much like the rest of the show, was just, in my opinion, amazing. And I'm going to get into a lot of that stuff. But first, let's get your thoughts on the finale, Alex, of Better Call Saul.
Better Call Saul finale was the cherry on the top of a beautifully tragic story.
Yeah.
It was spectacular and just full and wrought with emotion for every reason. You got to see Jimmy McGill be Saul, work his magic one last time, and you thought, he's gonna get away with it. He really did it. He did it. And just kind of own the room and command the room, and and then he does the right thing for the first time in a really, really long time.
Yeah.
he decides to take the fall to make sure the person he loves and cares about the most, what's her name? Kim
Wexler.
Kim. Yeah, Kim. I was like, it's not. I was about to say what. It wasn't the last name I was thinking. It's Kim. You see, takes the fall to make sure Kim Wexler gets off, and yeah, you don't expect him to do it, but when he's up on the stand and he's just giving his address, the best moment of the episode to me was when he went and he said, "At first, I did it because I had to, and I was scared." And then I wasn't.
Yeah.
And I was like, he turned the tables again. And
the delivery was great.
For so long in his life, everything was not his call. And he was stuck being just like the punching bag and the joke and the stepping stool for so many people and so many things. And you see this show, he becomes this larger than life personality. And in that moment, you kind of see it all come full circle. And he takes full blame for what he did. And he also retires Saul. He says, "My name's Jimmy McGill."
Right.
At the very end of it. And I thought it was just really fantastic writing. Not a lot writing we don't see anymore.
No.
You want to talk about fleshed out characters. The show can be like boiled down to just relationships and how they can ruin you or help you or build you and determine who you are. And they did some pretty terrible stuff and they did some pretty cool stuff. And it was a crazy fun ride to watch him do it. Just this character, Bob Odenkirk, deserves an Emmy as an outstanding actor.
Oh
at
yeah,
the very least. And yeah, it was fantastic. It was fantastically tragic in the best way possible. The end scene is just such a bummer, but like he's the only one that lived, really. I mean, Jesse, I guess
that's not true,
right? But Jesse's he's out.
Yeah, he's out though.
He's in Alaska, just pieced out.
Right.
And I do think that, and I say this knowing the weight it holds. This is at the moment the greatest cinematic universe ever built. I'm saying it. Over the three movies, three shows and a movie, you have created characters that, like, even fucking Huel, a joke character from Breaking Bad, gets his time to shine in this. Mike Ehrentrout gets his time to shine. I want a Mike prequel series to see what for Mike. But I know Vince Gillian's taking his time off from Breaking Bad universe right now. And that was another heartbreaking thing. This was probably the last time we see Walter White.
It might just be. Which
is such a bummer because he's just so good. But yeah,
a lot of these characters.
Yeah, it was fantastic, man. And it was true filmmaking and script writing at its finest. That's as good as I can, like, as best as I can say. Like, it doesn't get better than this.
I would 100% agree with everything you said.
Shocker.
Yeah, shocker. We always disagree. No, man, like, I think just to speak of the show in general first, it's like the magic of the show really comes down to Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould, who are the primary writers of the show and the showrunner, and it's incredible. I have hard times putting it to words sometimes, but it's just like their style of filmmaking is both so, like, they just don't conform to any other style of filmmaking I've ever seen. It's so distinct, the way that they write and the way that they choose to film both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Like, it's just like, I don't even think it's going to be mimicable. It's like fucking Sting in the Police. Like, I don't think there's anyone. It's so unique and it's so tuned in. They have the style and along with the filmmaking prowess to just like give us this just insane universe of wonderful characters who are all fleshed out, who and it's just like I don't know if it's ever going to be replicated. Not that I want it to be, it's just what they've achieved here is really something incredible. That it's sad that this show didn't get sort of the widespread recognition that like Breaking Bad did,
Right.
because maybe it doesn't have as much of those iconic moments or like their Walter White, but at the same time, it's given us more than that, much more. If people just watch this show, it's like it's so incredibly there's something just so raw and real about it more than any other show. When you think about the characters and what they go through, and just the style of like there's no the typical tropes you get in shows where like, oh, the final episode has to be this, it has to be this big moment, right? Or the middle of the show has to feel like this, or this next episode has to be in like this. Every week is like you don't know what you're gonna get,
right?
Because the showrunners know exactly where they're going, and they're servicing the story 120% each time. They're like, where does the story need to go,
right?
And let's make that next episode be in service to that, instead of like what the audience expects for a finale or for a mid-season or a show in between. It's just the whole entire series is based on that, and it's just insane.
Yeah,
like any filmmaker, I know cinephiles love this show, but it's one of those shows where it's like if people just took the time to sort of like give it its due, you can see sort of like the power of filmmaking and sort of having a voice for yourself, and that you can do that. You don't have to do the same things that everyone does to make something incredible like this. Anyways,
you don't have to make a superhero movie.
No, exactly. And this is not that at all. This is almost like the purest form of just human, of just humans being humans, right? Put into certain situations and making decisions and facing the consequences of those decisions, right? That's all. Essentially, it's all about. And the show just stuck to that all to the very end, and it's incredible to see what you can accomplish with that sort of thing. Anyways, so the finale in itself, yeah, I loved it. It's great. Right. It's a point of ending. It's Saul breaking good, or Gene or Jimmy. And we talked about this before. We asked each other like, what would you want to happen, or what do you think will happen to Jimmy, and what would you want to happen to Jimmy? I think you said that you think that he will get away with it.
I did. I thought he would do with it. I was like,
and I said, I don't think so. I was like, I think he needs to go to jail. Like, I think that's what would make sense for his, at least it would be, because that is expected, right? I think, again, it would be sort of like the Breaking Bad route to have him like actually get away with it. But it just didn't seem natural, like for him to like actually get away with this, just considering what he's gone through. I mean, technically, all the black and white scenes, which are basically what's happening now, like show him like he's getting away with it in this moment, and yet he's fucking miserable. Like his life sucks ass, and yet he still would want to do it. But it just so him getting away just doesn't seem like it would be satisfying, right? So I think the ending here that they came up with is so much better than that, immensely. And I'm seeing the scene where they're talking through his sentencing.
Yes.
And Marie Schrader comes in. I love that cameo. Oh, who thought it would be Betsy Brandt? Like, what a great cameo show up for her. But that whole scene was amazing. I love that scene where he just basically like he thinks he has it in the bag. And then he hears that Kim turned herself in.
He did have it in the bag.
He did have it in the bag. He did.
It was his.
He did. And he had sort of both ways there, right? Like he was caught. He was caught, so he had that. What could he do? But try to minimize his sentence to a measly like 7 years, and he had it. And but yeah, when he found out that Kim, inevitably did the right thing, he ended up doing the same, and he's just like, fuck
this show. I think we got to do like a whole recap
of the whole thing. Yeah,
eventually, the whole thing. Just talk about it a little bit more and say it was we'll have to decide which was a better show, Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul.
You can't make that call right now. I know my call right now, but I won't say it unless you know. I know.
I think Better Call Saul is a better show.
I agree too. I think Better Call Saul is a better show than Breaking Bad, and that's not a bad thing to say, right? No. Like, why would it? I think people get offended by that a little bit? Like, well, how could Breaking Bad? It's like it's the OG. I'm like, but for any sequel or three or whatever, they don't. Even though the track record is bad, that
Right.
most sequels are not good. People don't go into them wanting them to be worse. They want them to be better, obviously. So it only makes sense to me when things actually work out to say like what it's actually better, that you should say it and you should praise it. It doesn't negate what happened to the first one, right? Like Breaking Bad is a fucking amazing show. It's iconic.
So I'm interested to find out our reasoning for why we think Better Call Saul is the better show. Breaking Bad is a fantastic show, but it's the intro to this universe, and it's predominantly Walter White's story. It is predominantly his story. I mean, sure, Jesse gets a good chunk of screen time, but it's about Walter White. It's about watching this seemingly good man turn to this absolutely awful human being in a span that most people don't think is possible, and the worst in humans coming out. The reason why Better Call Saul to me is a better show is that it's so much more than that. It's about relationships. It's about so many different characters. It's about failure. It's about success. It's about just everything. It's the universe in now is fully developed because of what Breaking Bad did. It's fully developed. It's so rich and wrought with life that it just makes it a amazing show. There's anywhere you look, you could say, oh, sure, it's Better Call Saul, but you know what? This episode's going to be about Gus Fring. Or you know what? This episode's going to be about Mike Ehrentrout. Or this episode's going to be about Huel or Howard Hamlin or Kim Wexler. And you're on board for all of it because it's all well done. Better Call Saul's just the name of the show. It's not really about Saul all that much in some moments. And that's what makes it that good of a show. Because everything matters. And everything's just so rich. That's why, to me.
Preach, baby. Preach. You couldn't have said it better. I agree with you. It is. You're right. You're absolutely right. And you know what? That makes that again, it makes sense. And that's okay. It's okay that Breaking Bad focused mostly on Walt because that's what you wanted to see. And that's essentially what is the power of that show. Like the fact that they stuck to that, the fact like the whole point was to see what would happen if one person was basically a loser and didn't do anything with his life, become someone so insanely powerful and yet had to have a turn to make that happen. Mm-hmm. Like that, you sticking on that line is exactly why you watch that show. And it's a strength of it.
Right.
Why that show is great in and of itself. Right. But Better Call Saul. Yeah, you're right. The fact that it trusted people to, yeah, sure, Saul's name's on the front, but the fact that they delved into all these other characters and trusted that people would understand and latch on to them for their own reasons is an insane strength of not only this show against Breaking Bad, but this show against any other show in the existence of life.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Like other great shows have done this. Like an example is like Lost. Lost famously did this more than any other show. Yeah, I mean, when you have a cast of like 20,000 people, you gotta have every other episode like kind of like stick to one person. That being said, even then, Better Call Saul found a way to do that, but weave it all together so tightly together. Yeah. Where you don't even like, because in Lost, even you go like, oh yeah, we got to have an episode about Jack. We got to have the episode about Hurley, and we kind of start to expect that every season.
Yeah.
But even here, it doesn't even it takes that a step further. Where like you don't know what the next episode is going to be about. The writers are so much in control in this show for you. Like you're just sitting back and just basically in neutral, just wanting to take it in. You don't even have to do any work with the show. Right. You just have to sit and watch. And every week it's like something new. It's like opening a new present on the same Christmas every single time. And it's that magic is what the big strength of the show is. And it's exactly because of that, because they're just, look, who cares if it's Saul versus I was going to say Taco, not Nacho this week. Nacho, because this week we're going to show you why they're all kind of just the same people, but in their own contextual way. Yeah. Because they're just humans, and we're going to show you why that they matter, because they're going to show just gonna be people, like they are, you know, and that's such a crazy strength of the show.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You're gonna say something. Go ahead.
On our point about flawed characters in Marvel and how they're struggling with that right now, every single person, even Gus Fring, they're all insanely flawed. Even Lalo. There is no
understatement.
There is no perfect person, because again, like we said a couple minutes ago, perfect people don't exist.
No.
And that's what makes this show so powerful. Everybody is flawed. Everybody has and makes mistakes.
Right.
And you struggle through it with them. You get to go on the ride with them, which is
and their motivations are clear.
Yeah.
As to why they do their why they do it, they do it. It's so immensely clear why they do things. That's one of the biggest problems with writing in general and all these other shows that have to sort of like fast track themselves through it, is that they kind of step over like the real reason why they're doing it, and they just make it's just a plot thing. They just need to make it happen.
Right.
Here it's always clear. It's always clear why someone's doing something, and it's got complete motivation for everything they do. Kim Wexler is a great example of that. Probably one of the best written characters ever, and not to mention just women characters, but just great character. Like, you see her struggle so hard throughout all the season. She's the heart of the show. Like, she has, I mean, besides like some of the things that she ends up doing with Jimmy near the end of the show, like, she is just trying to do the right thing every time, and yet every season, you see her kind of falling into to the side of like the dark, and like not always trusting her own instincts, right? Even though they're good, like just the fact that she doesn't always trust herself is a great vulnerable character flaw to really delve into. Even though this character is good, and she remains fairly good throughout the even at the end, she is the heart of the show, and she is a good person. At the end of it all, she made mistakes, but she's still ultimately a good person. It's why Jimmy turns at the end, right? It's because of her. And see, that's just a great written character. Anyways, besides that, how did you what did you think about the callbacks, the cameos to like Walter in this episode? Those scenes where there's a great thematic device here about the time machine. We open up the episode with Mike and them in a previous scene. Or in previous episode, I forget which one exactly, but it's when like Mike saves him from the
he crashes with Lalo's money. He has to go
bail there you go, the 7 million
jail, and he crashes with Lalo's money. He gets attacked, and Mike ends up saving him, but they have a flat, so they have to walk in the desert for 3 days or something,
carrying the money. But we have that moment. We have a future scene with Walt, and then it's all about this question that he has about the time machine, like, would you go back? And then Walt perfectly puts busts through that whole bullshit later about like, you're just asking about regret, buddy. Like, say what you need to say.
Me about regret.
So what did you think about those scenes and seeing those like Mike for the last time and Walt being potentially for the last time?
We can go back to the Jesse scene when we see them in the episode title Breaking Bad, when we see I guess that's our first intro in Breaking Bad to Saul Goodman, and that's Saul's first intro to Jesse and Walt in this series. They were all wonderful. They were all great. I think like you kind of mentioned, Gillian and Peter Gold, they're just amazing at symbolism and writing and all that. And titling the episode Breaking Bad obviously has more than one meaning. That's obviously, as he said, as he pays off a couple episodes later when he's saying, turns out I liked it. That's why I did it. Because he also broke bad. And it all kind of tied together amazingly. And hearing Jesse say, just drive, yo. Or fucking hearing Walt saying, that's a ridiculous question. And like him being his typical analytical self, has no imagination, just super scientific, was great. I loved seeing all those characters one last time. It was the perfect way to kind of button end all of it. That's how you do a cameo.
Exactly. Right. A lot of these cameos come in. These cameos come in a lot of, obviously, there's like superhero films, and they're just there mostly for the the applause when they enter screen, and it kind of ends there for the most part, right?
Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. This is how you do a
God.
cameo. This is how you do a cameo and make it matter. This is how you do it. Give Vince a call.
Good Lord.
God.
I know. Yeah, this is exactly how you do it. Like, it felt so appropriate, right?
Right.
Yeah, it felt so. Even the Marie like cameo.
Yes.
It's almost offensive to call them cameos at this point, right? Because it's like that's not why they found a perfect reason to have you see these characters again. It's not because partly of it is because of course I'd love to see them again, but it's also because here's a moment why their character with Saul makes a lot of sense with what we're trying to say.
Yes.
They wrote it beautifully. Even again, who thought they'd want to see Marie Schrader? Like, everyone loves Betsy Brand, but like that's not the character you expect to want to see
in the show. You hated her.
You didn't really care to see her, and yet here it makes perfect sense why she would be in that situation and be in that room with him. And I was just like, oh my God, like this is incredible. And I wanted to bring up, and I brought this back to you already, my favorite personal scene of the entire episode, which was the cameo again, not the cameo, whatever, the reappearance by Chuck McGill, played by Michael McKean, who was always like a really, strong character, and also just what a great performance. Some of the best scenes come from this guy in Better Call Saul across until he dies, of course, in season 3. But that scene to me was probably one of the best scenes of Better Call Saul. Not just because of the scene itself, but just like its placement, right?
Yeah.
So before Jimmy starts his whole fall, basically, in the courtroom, we go back one last time to the day. This is the poetry of Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould. Yep. This scene takes place the day before the first episode of Better Call Saul. It's just incredible because he talks about a line about like, the New York, the something Times. And that's exactly what opens up the first episode, is like him bringing him the Times. But this takes place at Chuck's house, and he's bringing him the food that Chuck needs because Chuck, I forget exactly why he can't go to grocery stores because of his mental illness. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Like he can't get his own food.
Electromagnetic fields.
Right. So Jimmy takes it upon himself to like get his food because he has no fridge because there's electricity. So he has to put it
or anything like that. Yeah.
And God damn it, man, this scene broke me completely because again, the whole reason the show even exists, or the whole reason Jimmy is even Jimmy, is because of Chuck, right? Essentially, the whole show begins because of their whole just this degrading relationship that they have, that they love each other. Yeah. It's oh my God, the relationships can be described so many ways. It's so insanely dysfunctional and poisonous. And but this scene just shows like, wow, even during those times, even when two brothers like just don't get along, there's such subtext that as humans we just don't read into, and we can't always say what we want to say. And if we just didn't divulge into our own ego for just 1 second and maybe accept some of like, the love that somebody wants to give you, it could really literally make the difference between your entire life falling apart and it going a completely different direction. This is what was great about this scene, is that it brought us back to like this moment where none of this probably could have happened.
Right.
If maybe in this moment where basically what happens in the scene is that like, Chuck is trying to extend a hand out and be like, I want to be a brother in this scene to you. I know I'm not always great. We don't have great talks, but I want to ask you how you're doing, essentially. And Jimmy almost is like taken aback by it because he's like, this is not you. And yet you can see that Chuck is trying to be genuine as shit. And if Jimmy just maybe took that advancement in that moment, none of this would have happened. Is like so heartbreaking. It's just so painful to watch, and yet it's immensely poetic.
Right. Small decisions create your life.
Yeah. And that's what the show, it just reminds you what the show is about.
Yeah.
Essentially all Jimmy wanted this entire time is love.
Yeah.
Because he has no one.
Right.
He literally has Chuck and then Kim eventually. But then once Chuck died, like Jimmy has literally no one. No one likes him. He's obnoxious. you know, it's partly his own fault, but essentially he just wants to be loved.
Right.
And essentially Jimmy at the end of the show chooses that. Sadly, it's because he has to spend his rest of his life in jail, but he ends up choosing that in favor of like a sorrowful existence where he just becomes no one. And it's so insanely good, dude.
The whole show is just insanely ironic and poetic and just right. Just the right amount of just good decisions made in the writing room that really make you think and really make you go, wow, as an audience. And I think that's just the best way to put the show in like a microcosm, if you could, man. There's just so many moment after moment that you want to dive into and talk about because it's just so good, you know. There's like so many great the best episode this season. Don't get me wrong, as much as I loved the finale, the best episode this season was the mid-season premiere when Lalo has a gun to basically Jimmy's head, and he's just trying to get to Salamanca. Oh, sorry, he's Salamanca. He's trying to get to Gus.
Yeah,
that whole scene is just built, just wrought with tension. There's
it's awesome.
You just don't know what's gonna happen. You're like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? So yeah, it's just.
I agree with you.
What a wonderful, wonderful, masterfully created show and universe they've executed and made here, and it's just, I mean, Vince Gilligan has said he's putting it away for a while. He has said that he wants to write a good guy. He wants to give that a shot. Which he hasn't done yet. There's not many good people he's written.
That's exciting. It's exciting.
So it could be really cool. But yeah, I think
can't wait to see that.
Show was amazing, man. I just like you told me to watch the show, and because of the pandemic, we did, and I just fantastic.
Do you think if we just even tried to push people to watch the show that it would actually pay off, or is this the kind of show that really is maybe just for, like, again, people like us, like the filmmaker types, like the people who like will really delve into it? Or can regular people, like regular watchers, if they just gave it a shot, do you think they would actually get something out of it?
I think they could, because, you know, Olivia's not a filmmaker. She loved it.
Yeah. She did?
Yeah. She thinks it's better than Breaking Bad. She loved Breaking Bad. You know,
Keisha fell off on it a little bit. She stopped caring about the show, but
I got her to
that's good to know.
Watch Breaking Bad because I told her, you got to watch this show. It's one of the best series ever made, and she loved it. And then we started Better Call Saul, and it's been she loved it. So I think more and more people can come around on it. I will say this though, man, this show is a dying breed, man. This might be one of the last cable shows like this, because look, Netflix ain't in the business of doing 6 seasons of a show.
No,
I mean, unless it's a reality show. Apple TV, all they do predominantly is miniseries. They're not really interested in doing more than one or 2 seasons.
Right.
I mean,
that makes sense though, because they're new on the block, right? Like, but it makes sense for like maybe an HBO Max to take on a show like this, obviously.
Right. But you know, HBO Max turned down Breaking Bad.
They did.
Or not HBO Max. HBO turned down.
They better not turn Vince Gilligan down for anything else they might want to come to do. Though
Vince Gilligan's got a do whatever the fuck you want card at AMC.
Oh yeah, and of course
he'll never go anywhere else.
I agree.
But yeah, I think that this show is what's a good way to put it? It's a dinosaur. It's a breed that's going extinct.
Yeah, I agree. So, I don't know if we ever will. Again, like I told you, unless Vince does something completely different.
Yeah. Like we may have 1 season shows that are very, very, very good, but like this 6 seasons where every character gets a backstory, every character gets emotional depth that you've like never seen. I can't imagine we get that anymore.
No, I don't think so. That's why like I've been just completely depressed about this, knowing that this was it. Like this may just be the last time we get. I'll rewatch the show probably, but like just something new again from this in this way. Yeah, it's probably that's it. That's pretty much gone. Maybe we'll see. Who knows? You know, Vince is only like, how old is Vince?
Well, I mean,
you never know. He maybe come back around. I don't think it's like the last time we'll be in the Breaking Bad universe. I think he'll just take a break, and then once, you know, down the line, we'll see another one. I think it'll probably by then everyone will be too old. So it'll probably be a new side of that universe, but who knows? But yeah, it really just sucks to. It's just like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just one of the greatest things.
Yeah.
And it's
one of the best series ever made.
Yeah, for sure.
One
And I hope that
again,
whatever
go ahead.
I was just say whatever Vince does next, I'm sure it'll be just as interesting and good. Because he's just a master at their craft at this point. Like they just do what comes to them because it services their script and vision solely. And I don't see it being anything less. So, but man, am I sad. I'm sad that was it. That was it. Oh, I want it so bad.
Yeah, man. There you go. One of the greatest shows ever made.
Watch it if you haven't. Watch it if you haven't.
Just give it a shot.
Yeah.
You have Netflix. Just give it a shot.
Actually, I will say there are some people who did who did watch it and like did not really attach to it. They still think that Breaking Bad's better, but
interesting.
Whatever.
This is a better show. But
it's a better show.
I can see why you think Breaking Bad's not a bad choice. So
yeah,
I guess I get it. No big deal.
Yeah, no, it's still obviously a great show. Obviously, two of the greatest shows ever made. Like it's hard to pick.
So bad. Yeah, exactly.
Picking diamonds is tough. What can I say?
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyways, everybody, that is our show for this week, and we'll see you next time. We'll be doing a Beast review very soon because, like, Alex in particular has been just dying. It's been waiting. It's been waiting for this one, and I've heard good things.
Me too.
So far. So I'm down. I'm so down. You know. Same. All right. All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Later, y'all.
Bye.